Hey everybody! Welcome to our first attempt at streaming something. We are Superscript Comics and Games. This week we're going to be getting into live streaming some Star Trek Adventures, the tabletop role playing game by Modiphius. And as a little bit of a prelude to that, we thought it would be great to walk through what character creation for this game looks like with Nick Kratzis. And actually, before we get into that, let's take a moment and introduce everybody.
Yeah.
We have a large portion of the Superscript Comics and Games team here. We've got Christine over in engineering, it looks like.
Hello.
We've got Christian, who helped put all this together and is running the stream.
My hand's being swallowed by the Aurora Borealis behind me.
And is also going to be... What is your character going to be?
My character is the pilot.
The pilot.
I'll just say my character's name is Zard, and pretty cool.
Tells us a lot.
Pretty cool.
And then we have one of our co-owners, Nick Kratzis, who is going to be the captain of the good ship, the USS Garfield.
Yes.
On the voyage we're going to be embarking on this Friday. And we're going to walk through what character creation looks like in the Modiphius Star Trek Adventures role-playing game. So, Star Trek Adventures uses a system called the 2D20 system, which is one of the primary systems used by a lot of the licensed games Modiphius put out. And it's pretty interesting. It's a lot more cinematic than stuff like Pathfinder or perhaps like 5e D&D. Combat's much faster, and the game is kind of more about like character development in terms of how you develop as far as like challenging your own values and your morality and things like that. Very, very Star Trek. And the character creation is particularly interesting, which is why we wanted to make sure that we took at least one look at it before we got into playing the game. It uses what's called the life path creation. So instead of like kind of planning your whole character out at once and then going about rolling some dice, you literally walk through phases of your character's life up until the point where the adventure begins. So that's going to involve, what kind of planet were you raised on? Like, did you go to Starfleet? Did you go to like the Tri-C of Starfleet Academy? How long have you been a pilot? Or how long have you been in Starfleet, and what has happened to you along the way, and how has that shaped who you are? So I think, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So for the purposes of this stream, we're going to use a really handy online character creator that Modiphius has made available for free. Anybody interested in mucking around and creating some characters of their own, by all means, go ahead and use it. Nick, do you have the link handy? Do you think you could throw that in the chat real quick?
Yep, I can do that.
Thanks for bearing with us, everybody. This is our first attempt at streaming everything, and almost everything broke right before we went live, and Christian fixed all of it. So we're still all adjusting to, doing this stuff on the internet.
Yeah, also, any...
Now we have excellent connection.
We're back.
Hey, anybody who's still there, thanks for bearing with us. Christian lost internet, and so we had to take a momentary break.
Yeah, surprisingly,
we're back.
It's kind of important for this.
Oh, there it is. Nice. Okay.
I can't see it from where I'm sitting, so the stream is working, right?
Looks like it, yeah.
Yep.
Anybody in the
I
chat?
just saw myself fix my hair, so we're good.
Yeah, we
Good
are
to
back.
know.
Okay, sorry
Okay.
about that.
Okay. No.
Okay.
Hey, we're figuring it out.
All right. So let's go ahead and get into it. Nick, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here in a minute, so we're gonna put up a quick pause screen while we change who's displaying here over on the stream.
All systems go, according to Christian.
That's correct. Yeah.
Engage.
There's a real-
Transition prepared. Yeah.
Do we have audio while we're doing these?
Yep.
Or?
Yep. So.
Smooth.
All right.
All right, and coming back now.
Okay. So yeah, here we are in the Modiphius' own online character creator, as Elliot said. Let's go through the first couple steps are very straightforward, not too many options, but this is where it starts us, and we want to make a character. So we are going to make the commanding officer of the USS Garfield. And then up here, we've got, it asks us to select which books we are going to use, and we're just going to basically be using the core book for our game.
One thing worth mentioning: this is a very well supported game. There are a lot of, like, supplemental materials out. There's a source book for every quadrant of the galaxy, one for every division in Starfleet, and they're all really good. Like, I mean, obviously, this game, your mileage may vary with this game depending on how much you like Star Trek or are not into Star Trek. But if you're into Star Trek, the books are excellent. Like, they
Books are great.
Like, if you're the kind of person who, like, I don't know, some nerds who may be on this stream right now speaking, who, you know, kind of get a kick out of just reading articles on Memory Alpha or whatever, like, the books are really well put together, where if you're the kind of person who would just like to read a whole bunch of interesting stuff about the world of Star Trek, each one of them is excellent. They're really well written, and the options for play they add are pretty cool too. But yeah, for our stream, since we're just starting off, let's go with just the core book.
Just the core. Yeah. And we are going to be in the mid 24th century, so in the next generation era. And I think, I mean, Elliot, would you say those three eras are pretty all well represented in the core book, or it seems kind of somewhat focused on the next gen era, right?
The majority of the material, especially in the core book, is focused on next gen. Some of the adventure supplements they put out, so there are two. There's one called The Continuing Voyages and one called Strange New Worlds. The first one is almost all next gen stuff, but every adventure gives options for, like, hey, if you want to make this a original series or an Enterprise thing, no problem. Right. Just they can't be the Dominion.
A certain race, yeah.
Like that. Or, like, sub this out if you want to make it Enterprise. The second book is actually a book of adventures. Has it broken into 3 sections with an equal amount of adventures in each, where there's Enterprise ones, TOS ones, and then Next Generation ones, and each again comes with, here's how you can adapt this to whatever your era of play would be.
Cool.
And do they offer different species type, for creating characters?
I mean, like, so Next Gen's going to be your kitchen sink. That's going to be, I mean, because it's the furthest along in the timeline, so humanity and the Federation have explored enough that they have met all of the, quirky alien races those of us who watch a lot of Star Trek have come to know and love. Some of those, cultures haven't been encountered by the Federation yet in the original series, and even fewer of them have in Enterprise. So it's you're less limited the further into the future you go, which again is a reason I think that it kind of, like, prescribes you want to play in the 24th century.
Right.
Yep.
Cool. So that's what we are going to do. And welcome to Starfleet. What do you want to register? We are registering Starfleet personnel. We will discuss our starship a little later.
I would like to take a second, though, you're already past it. The third option was supporting characters. One of the cool things about Star Trek Adventures, and one of the reasons I love this game, is that it's really cinematic, and you kind of play it in scenes. And as anybody's watched Star Trek, you know that Ian Douglas is in the chat saying my face looks different on TV. Thank you. I'm not going to have a complex about that. Missed you. one of the things I like about this game is how cinematic it feels by breaking things up into scene. And anybody who's watched Star Trek knows not every member of the ship's senior staff is going to be in every scene. Like, not everybody's on the bridge all the time. You know, like Dr. Crusher is going to be down in sick bay, and Geordi's going to be in engineering from time to time. But Star Trek Adventures wants everybody able to participate in every scene. So what you do is you each roll your main character, but then you roll as a group a couple of supporting characters that have slightly less developed staff. So those are your, like, if we're talking about Star Trek The Next Generation, that might be your, like, Miles O'Brien character. And if someone's main character doesn't have a role to play in a scene, they can grab from that bucket of supporting characters and then go ahead and someone can play them instead, which makes the ship feel more alive and makes the crew feel bigger and also makes sure that everybody gets to play. Anyways, that was a really long aside. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, that's a really cool part of the game. It's fun to be able to, play those sort of secondary characters.
Yeah, try out a new role, and also, prevent the captain from going on every away mission.
Yeah, right.
Kind of unlike what you would do with your most senior staff member
Right.
in potentially perilous situations. So
Mm-hmm.
makes it feel a little more realistic.
Yeah.
The Star Trek
That's
realist.
what it's all about. Is
realism.
Gritty realism.
Star Trek. Cool. So let's see. Yes. So species. I am going to select a Bajoran. So actually, real quick, just on my character creation, like, I've kind of thought about this character already. So this is not all stuff I am coming up with off the top of my head.
You're not freestyle on this?
No, I'm not. Maybe later. But yeah, like, so for this character, I knew right away that I wanted to be Bajoran just because I've been watching Deep Space Nine, and the Bajoran Cardassian conflict is very central to that show, and it's super engaging. And I even, like, watching Next Gen, one of the things I wanted more of was
Ensign Rowe.
about Ensign Rowe, and just about that conflict and the aftermath of the Cardassian occupation. So I thought it would be cool to be a Bajoran, and it would also be interesting with our timeline, given that we are starting play in 2371 it is, right, Elliot? So it's
So that's like right about when Deep Space Nine gets started.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna be a Bajoran. Plus, that means I get a cool earring.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Accessories are always good.
Yeah. So here we have our little description of the Bajorans. And I don't know, they're spiritual people, as it said, and they have been, I think it was for 50 years they were under occupation from Cardassian rule, and subject to forced labor and all sorts of terrible things. So now they are starting to try to heal from that, and also they are not a Bajor is not it is not a Federation planet, so there is that as well.
So picking your race in this game gives you a couple of different things. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to adjust 3 of your attributes. So this game is like actually kind of light on stats compared to a lot of other games, but most of the game revolves around, like, as far as the mechanics are concerned, revolves around attributes and disciplines. Attributes are things like how daring you are or how physically fit you are. Like, they're more intrinsic things, like about you. And then disciplines are, that's like your job. Like, how good are you at engineering, or how good are you at piloting, or
like if you're a science officer, like which branch of science are you
Yeah, science is
Science or medicine.
Yeah, or medicine.
Yeah.
And so most things you do in this game, to see if you can do something, you take one of your attributes, and then you take one of your disciplines, and you add those numbers together, and then you try and roll a 20-sided die. Well, you several 20-sided die usually underneath that number. So if you're trying to fix the warp core of your ship while something bad is happening, you might take your attribute control and your engineering discipline, and that equals 12, let's say, if you were an engineer, and you want to roll a d20 under 12 to see how well you fix that warp core. So you're over the course of this life path creation system, Nick's going to get, based on things he chooses, is going to get additional points to his attributes and to his disciplines. He's also going to get a trait from picking his species, and the trait is just like a cool special rule that species has. Different things affect them. Or I'm sorry, that's a talent. A talent is a cool special rule that only that race has. And then he's going to have a trait. Traits are just like a keyword, which this game uses a lot of. So if they're in a situation that affects people with a certain keyword differently, like it affects Bajorans differently, then Nick is going to be subject to whatever those effects are. So
yeah, like some species are resistant to cold, or do well in hot climates, that sort of thing. They're not as hindered by the environment, that type of thing.
Yeah. So my trait is, I've got my starting attributes there. My starting trait is just that I am Bajoran. And then below here, I can choose a talent. So this is going to, I guess, sort of give me a little bit of a special ability during gameplay. So I know that I'm in the command branch, so I may want to pick something along there. And let me just look and see what other things there are. So there should be okay, so yeah, there's a few talents that are specific to Bajorans. So I could have a talent relating to an orb experience that I had. Like I received a vision from the Bajoran prophets. Or I could have a strong pa, which is sort of my spirit in the Bajoran religious sense, I guess. I have a strong connection to the prophets. But I don't think I'm going to have either of those right now. I think the one I know that I want to pick first off the bat was up here, that I'm a supervisor. So this increases my ship's crew support by 1. And it's even more advantageous if multiple main characters select it. So I thought this would be good and fitting with my character, not just because I'm going command track, but also because I want to kind of be a commander of the people kind of commander.
For the people?
I'm thinking, yes, for the people.
Okay.
I'm kind of, yes. I'm kind of thinking, I'm like, I was raised somewhat, at least during this occupation, and raised not by resistance fighters directly, but still I was around it, so I'm a man of the people. So that is my talent, right? Yes.
Yep.
So hard to pick just one.
Yeah,
right?
and we'll pick a bunch more throughout. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little bit of foreshadowing.
It was good.
Sorry, we ruined it, Christian.
So now we select my environment. So this, like Elliot was saying, this is where we'll start to see like how this is, or why this is called like the life path system. So now we're going to select the environment we came from, and also what that, I guess how that's impacted my character a little bit. So, I would like to be from the Frontier Colony, because what I'm thinking for my character is, I was not raised on Bajor, but I was on a frontier colony, and my parents were maybe merchants or something like that, and they assisted the Bajoran resistance, but they had a family and stuff, and I don't know, maybe they didn't want to get directly on the front lines of the resistance, so they moved us to a frontier colony or something like that, and that's where I was raised, but they still worked to aid the resistance.
Very nice.
So I'm from the frontier, and here it shows. Now, are these, Elliot, you would maybe know, is this just what the attributes and disciplines that this is giving me further advantage in?
Yeah.
Or
so it's going to give you like a little, I can't remember exactly, but I think it's going to give you options to increase.
Oh, okay, on the next page here.
For those disciplines.
Oh, okay. So we'll see that on the next page.
It creates a range of, you would have been better in these areas, like physically and mentally, and you would have learned more about these skills based on your upbringing. Yeah. By the way, just want to take this moment to, if anybody in the chat does have any questions about any of this, like, feel free to kick in and answer it as we go. But yeah, so go ahead and let's pick Frontier Colony.
The frontier. The space frontier.
All right, so so it gives you an option to improve, I believe, one or both of those.
Control or fitness, yeah. So I'm going to go with control. That will help me in my command track of being a commanding officer. And then I also get to pick a discipline, either con, which is sort of like your ship operations, I guess, or helm operations,
that's your
right?
Piloting.
Your piloting. Medicine and security are pretty straightforward. So yeah, I'll go with con. I want to be able to be a good backup pilot if needed, or whatever. Take control of the ship if things go bad. And now I get to select a value. This is like one of the coolest parts of character creation, I think, but also one of the hardest. Would you all agree?
So, well, don't you just put something of value in there, like a diamond or a piece of, silver, or a dollar bill?
Is this the, I don't know what you call that type of questioning you're doing? Some.
I have no idea what it is either. I'm just being a
why? No, it's funny you ask that. It's not. It's a different type of value. It's more of a philosophical or moral value. So I am going to select a value for my character that my character believes in, but specifically because we're just right now thinking about my upbringing on the frontier colony. This is a value that's a product of my environment and culture that I was raised in. So I think that's where it really becomes super cool. I mean, anytime you're with any RPG, I think coming up with those types of values and beliefs is always great. But when the way this game ties it in with, like, no, this value is a product of this part of your life, that's super cool. And I think it's also like just enough direction to make you think about it more,
Who is the character you're playing? I would also, just real quick, you get to pick a couple of values over the course of it, and it does tie into one of my other favorite mechanics of this game, which is how you don't. For those of you who are familiar with other tabletop RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons, most of that game's progression is based on leveling up stats. Like, as you get better, you usually get better in you are better at combat, or you are better at spell casting.
Right.
Star Trek does not operate in a level system, which is one of the things I love about the game, and a lot of that comes from the setting, but the rules complement it really well. Like, we're assuming that if you're a commander, or a captain of a starship, and you have a senior staff of highly decorated Federation officers as your group, that you all kind of know what you're doing already. Like, you're all good at your job. It's not like you're all like a level 1 fighter in D&D where you're kind of, like you can fight kobolds and that's about it. You got to get better before you can do other stuff. Star Trek throws you right in and assumes you're all highly capable, highly competent. The way you progress as a character, and there's a couple different ways that you can level up, so to speak, and one of them is by challenging a value. So at the beginning of a play session, you can say that you want to try and change your character a little bit, and you can do so by challenging the value that your character, one of the values your character has, and then just not take advantage of the bonuses that value would give you throughout the course of the adventure. And if you succeed in not relying on that value for the course of the adventure, you can replace it with a new value at the end of the adventure. Because that's the most Star Trek thing I've ever heard. Is like the way you get better is by like challenging your own beliefs and growing as a person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good to bring up, because this ties in there's a very clear connection with this value to actual like gameplay.
And if I could just say,
mechanic.
I think this type of mechanic lends itself to investing in a character, really, which is something for new role-playing game, new players to role-playing games. It can be difficult at first, but like really establishing who your character is in this like, very well-established world, and what we went through, well, we're just getting started on the backstory, so maybe we'll just see where it goes from here.
Yeah.
It's a really good point.
Yeah. Okay, so this value, and so this part in particular is why I brought up, like, I have thought about this before, because this wouldn't have been very fun to watch me sit here for 10 minutes and think about each of my value. So I was thinking for my value of my frontier colony upbringing, it is the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Did you just come up with that?
That's beautiful.
Yes, I did. So yeah, I'm kind of thinking, that ties in with my parents. That's something they taught me, and maybe they were kind of, they were traders or whatever, but they were maybe making sure that the resistance fighters had what they needed, or the people on Bajor had what they could get them, despite the occupation, even though maybe they could have done something else to make more money. And maybe this is also something I developed just living on the frontier, maybe living in a small community, where there was more communal living going on, perhaps. So yeah, that is my value. Now we go to my upbringing, and we will select this. So this is the nature of my family and surroundings as I grew up, and whether I accept this influence or rebel against it, which is also rather interesting. So my upbringing, as I mentioned, would be business or trade, because my businessy trading parents. So that was my upbringing. And again, this sort of has, this tells you what attributes or disciplines, or I guess what attributes here would go up if you accept or rebel against that upbringing, and then the disciplines that you can choose to increase. Okay, so I did accept this upbringing, because I thought my parents were doing good with what they were accomplishing.
That seems like a very
Yeah.
I was gonna say
totally.
that seems like somebody who would become the captain of a like Starfleet. Like they just accept what they learned. Pretty
Charge
nifty.
forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I love the idea that you can create this upbringing, and then part of it is that you then rebelled against it.
Yeah, you could be like, no, screw you,
great.
Dad. I'm not going to be a traitor.
I just
Yeah.
want to dance.
Right,
I
or
just
you could
wanna-
be Frankie who wants to be in Starfleet.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah,
Fuck those rules of acquisition.
exactly.
It's probably a good time now. Christine and I are also rewatching Deep Space Nine, so
A lot of Deep Space Nine is fresh on the mind.
Yep.
So this has my sort of the attributes that it added to, and then the current totals there. So have a lot of presence and daring. I get to select another discipline again: command, engineering, or science. I will just go with another command.
Always
Why
good
not?
for a captain to
Yeah.
to excel at command.
I think so. And let's see. So there are, let's see. Trying to see if there was another command-specific talent, but I don't know that I see one. But there are all of these, which are sort of, I guess, variations on similar talents, or they're just the same talent but for different disciplines. So, like, this set of them is collaboration. So for this one, collaboration command. Whenever an ally attempts a task using command, you can spend a momentum to allow them to use your score for that discipline and one of your focuses. Elliot, do you want to talk about momentum at all, or?
Sure. And I think
I
this.
will. I was gonna say I could just kind of move forward with these talents while you talk about momentum if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. It might be kind of difficult to explain, but like in the abstract until we're actually playing. But we'll definitely talk about it Friday. But another great thing about this system and why it's great for Star Trek, but it's great for a lot of other games too, is the 2D20 system relies on two resources. One's called momentum and one is called threat. When you do things well, your entire group, everybody playing at the table, gets a shared pool of momentum. And at any point in time, if you want a better chance at successfully doing...
Okay, we're back now. Again, sorry, folks. Internet.
Oh, we're live again? Okay.
Yeah, internet problems abound over here.
It's okay.
It's all right. But yeah, anyways, momentum's great. I have no idea if you heard any of the things I said about momentum.
It helps you buy an advantage.
Yeah. You can use it to buy more dice, more information.
And you're buying that from the GM, right?
Yep.
You're
Well, momentum is a pool that you build up as time, over time. So
yeah.
Oh, but you mean like, are you buying?
Yeah,
more?
the GM doles it out as
Totally.
far as...
Let's give an example. Like, let's say your
stream goes out, and you're trying to figure out what's wrong with your stream.
And you roll some dice, and you're like, and you succeed in your check, and you're like, okay, the stream went out because Christian's internet went out, but you want to spend some momentum because you want more details. The GM could tell you that it's a nefarious plot that's actually being perpetrated against Christian by, who's your provider, Christian?
I think it's Spectrum over here.
Yeah, maybe. So they've been, overtaken by some sort of parasitic alien thing, and with the sole goal of throttling Christian's internet.
Yeah. The one time that I need it to work. So I'm going to spend a lot of momentum getting this back up.
Perfect.
So you got all your talents picked out there, Nick?
Yeah, I'm a little torn between advisor and bold command, because I think the advisor ties into me assisting people and making, I'm a better commander because I am assisting people, or I can assist people better. Or I could be a bold commander where I can add threat to the situation like I'm risky, but I get things done. But I'm gonna stick with the advisor. I'm gonna stick with the advisor.
All right.
All right.
And then my focus, I get another focus. So this one is now tied to the nature of my family business, such as skills.
This is the first focus you've gotten, right? I think you got a
value. So we talked about values. This is focus.
Yeah, you're right.
So something you excel at. So it's kind of like a concentrated area that you're interested in and know a lot about. So it gives some examples of types of things Nick could choose down there, like survey. Yep. You could be good at surveying, but or diplomacy or something. Like what are your skills? What have you practiced? What have you done 10,000 hours of?
Yeah, exactly. And I think I am actually going to use one from this list. I'm going to just go with negotiation. I think that makes sense with the family business, and that'll be useful in my role as commander.
Focuses just apply a bonus to something that like you're especially good at. So like if you are, say, we have a scientist in our group that you'll meet on Friday, who has a focus in xenobotany or xenobiology, maybe all of the above. But when if that character was doing some science stuff, they might roll like a control attribute plus science discipline check. But if they're dissecting a strange new alien or something like that, then they would be able to have a better chance of succeeding because their focus is in xenobiology.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, trying to prepare for situations that might come up in the game that you want to be really good at.
Yeah.
Right. Like we have 2 engineers in our game, so we made sure one has kind of more focuses geared toward transport, and the other has geared toward warp core systems and starship operations, that sort of thing. You can kind of use it to your group's advantage.
Yeah, that's a good thing to bring up too, because this is not a game where there are clear character classes or anything like that. So you're really creating those distinctions between characters or the specialties of your characters with the things like the focuses and talents. Cool. So now we're on to Starfleet. That was quick, guys.
You're all grown up.
You're off to Starfleet. They grow up so fast.
Yeah. So character-wise, I was thinking, like, I was sent to, my parents were like, it's getting to, we don't like you being here out on the frontier. We need to get you into a school where you can maybe they wanted me to make the most of my potential or also be a little further from the violent conflict. So that's perhaps part of why I ended up at Starfleet.
Maybe you went into an exchange program.
Maybe. Is that a thing?
Because you're not part of the Federation yet.
Yeah. Is that a thing?
I don't know. I looked it up.
Could
it's part
be.
of our thing.
It is now. So I am going to select my officer track. And this is where I select one of the 3 main tracks of Starfleet. I don't know. I was going to say command, but
majors.
That's one of the tracks. Yeah, majors, I guess. So command, operations, or sciences, and here it shows the majors within them. So I am going to go with the command track because I'm going to stick with command. I'm going to be a commanding officer. I'm not going to be an engineer or a scientist or anything like that. What's that?
Get you one of those red uniforms.
Yeah. All right. So now I get to select up to 3 attributes to increase some values in. So I'll go with some more control. That is very important for me. I would also like to, I feel like I want to be pretty charismatic. I've got that, I don't know, negotiating skills from my parents and stuff like that. And I think like I was saying, being a commander of the people. I think, to do that, you have to be able to get people to follow you. So I want to have that presence. I don't need fitness. I want to just sit in my captain's chair. And I don't know. I feel like maybe I should bump insight up, or yeah, I'll do insight one more. I feel like the Bajorans are insightful people. And then my major, get to select command, and then I get to select 2 other disciplines. So I will go with con.
Piloting.
Yeah, so that's kind of my next focus from command is piloting. And wow, I got a 1 in everything else. So, I kind of initially I was going to go engineering, but I kind of maybe want to actually go security.
Yeah.
I feel like that fits
Keeping
more.
people safe. Yeah.
Yeah, that fits more with my character a little bit. I'm not as maybe like engineering minded.
Technical.
Yeah.
But you know how to use a phaser if you have to.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's the thing too with this game. I mean, kind of like you were saying earlier, with like we are all experts at things. Like, even the pilot knows how to do all sorts of things to,
Yeah.
Can confirm. Zard knows how to do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
No spoilers, but lots.
Zard is gonna do some stuff.
And things.
So, okay, so now I get 3 more focuses, so I learned a lot at Starfleet. So I learned, so I'm thinking kind of my, learning more about piloting and command, led me to focus in helm operations. And then I think I am also, in maybe the thing that drew me to command is sort of the law and politics side of things, because I was as a somewhat of a product of the Bajoran or the Cardassian occupation of Bajor, I was probably interested in law and politics, and maybe questioning why Starfleet wasn't getting involved and stuff like that. So Federation law and politics was another focus. And then Starship Tactics.
Seems good for a captain to be able to have that.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I like that second focus is great, and like, I mean, it fits with your character, but it also, like, it's so tempting as the GM that's going to be running the game to just create some conceit for my favorite type of Star Trek episode, in which the captain has to become a lawyer for reasons passing understanding.
Right. Or just
defend a member of his crew in some alien court or tribunal. And...
yeah. I mean, yeah. Let's do it. I mean, it's either that or you get to that alien tribunal and it's actually a fight to the death with some
you're
cultural weapon. Yeah. So we'll stick Zard on them. All right. And then I get another talent. So maybe I should just pick that bold. Oh, wait, no. I forgot about these. There are some new command ones that pop up here. And this is the one I like here. Follow my lead. So if I succeed a task during a perilous situation, I can spend some determination, and one of my allies gets my assistance in that. So,
and I think determination is the first time. That's the first time we've brought up determination. Determination
okay.
is another resource like momentum and threat. Whereas, like, so you can spend momentum, which is your team builds over time, and get a better chance at doing something well. You can, if you don't have any momentum and you still want to do something really well, you can spend what's called threat, which just is essentially like giving the GM momentum for the bad guys. I can spend that to let the bad guys do things extra well. So there's a trade-off. Determination is something you get when you really exemplify your value. So if you do something that really, jives with your value, you get a determination. That determination can be spent to just make you succeed. Like you can choose to straight up being like, I'm going to pass this check and I'm going to succeed at this task with flying colors. So like Nick had that one value that was the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. So if Nick did something particularly self-sacrificing for the good of his crew or a lot of people, Nick would get a determination which he could either use right then and there or pocket for later to use maybe with that talent to like pass it along to somebody else and let them succeed at something.
Yeah. Well summarized.
Yep.
So here I get to pick another value, which, like Elliot said, could allow me to gain more determination if I follow it. And this is one that I developed during my time in Starfleet. So this one, I also already know what it's going to be. I thought it was a good sort of, like, it's, I don't know, slightly militaristic. And
what does it say?
The price of peace is vigilance.
Okay.
So, I felt like this could be a good one for Bajoran coming up in Starfleet, feeling like, very much believing in Starfleet and feeling like he's doing a good thing, but that we need to, we can't let up in order to achieve peace.
Yeah.
So that is that value. Now we go on to my career.
All right, so you've graduated Starfleet Academy.
Yay!
Congratulations.
To do so.
Thanks. I've served in Starfleet for several years. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Have you served in Starfleet for several years, or are you a veteran with decades of experience? Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped half of that sentence. So we're choosing if I'm a young officer fresh out of the academy, or if I've served for many years, or if I'm a veteran with decades of experience. So I am going to be an experienced officer. I'm commanding officer of a ship, so I figured I couldn't really be a young officer. But and this is something Elliot and I discussed before, like we're kind of thinking I'm just, you could sort of think of it as I'm just on the cusp of, I'm just now an experienced officer. So I'm still pretty fresh, but I'm maybe now finally no longer a rookie or something like that. And I finally got my own ship. I'm a commanding officer for the first time.
Yeah.
And I get another value. So this one I thought would maybe now be a product of my career, and maybe now at this point I feel a little bit like regarding the Bajoran or the Cardassian occupation, but maybe also related to other things I've seen during my service. The new value I've developed is failure to act is the greatest failure of all. So now I feel like, indecision is a poor choice and
goes with your whole vigilance thing.
Yeah. And now I get another talent. I think I will. You know what? Now I think this is a good time for me to select a Bajoran talent, and perhaps now I've had some time to think about the profits a little bit. Maybe I've found some wisdom in their words. So for my talent, I'm going to pick Strong Pa.
Strong Pa.
Strong Pa. So I have relied heavily on the prophets.
And you're referring to Zard as your strong Pa right now, correct? Your big
No.
strong Pa? No?
Christine, we lost Christine because she was
Ooh, boy, that threw all the layout off.
Oh, yes, it did.
This is fun. Little peek behind the curtain, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what any of this looks like. We'll get her back.
Oh,
Probably.
It looks really interesting.
Yeah.
It's
like half of our heads.
Well, now they're just seeing a nice blue screen. It's a nice calming blue background while we get Christine back.
Good.
Yeah.
Can they hear us or?
Yeah, everybody can hear us. We still got the nice tunes going.
Nice. All right.
We're now a radio show.
Yeah. Oh, are we?
Came upstairs, or she went downstairs to let the dog outside because I guess the dog must have been barking, and then she came into the room.
I see. That's our
with the dog, and then she left.
This would be a good time to tell people in the chat while we're waiting for a moment here. If you are interested in playing this game yourself, you can go to our website, superscriptohio.com, and click on Shop and check out the affiliate link for the Modiphius store. If you follow that link, you can purchase some Modiphius items, such as the Star Trek Adventures rulebooks, and you will be supporting Superscript Comics and Games in the process. So if you're interested at all, check it out. Like Elliot said, those are great books to check out and read and flip through. And you really only need just to get started, at least you need the player's handbook, and that's that'll get you going.
It's also like if you are like, well, I know me, and I think Nick too, Christian, I'm not so sure about you, but if you're the kind of person who just like enjoys a good read from a role-playing games book, because obviously we're pretty into the hobby and have been for a long time, but I own a lot of role-playing games that I'm not sure I'll ever get on the table, just because the books are fun to read, like beyond mechanics, like the setting information and the lore and stuff like that. That one has a lot of it. Like that book is packed with like kind of fluff and fiction. It also includes a pretty good first adventure if you are trying to GM the game, and it definitely has everything you need to play it.
Yeah.
So I've made it back.
We are back to video screen.
You're no longer in engineering. You're in a dark.
I'm in a dark room. I've been taken prisoner.
Oh dang! Yeah, we got to make this happen.
Save your engineer.
So we just did my my career in.
Christian, are we once again showing the screen? Okay, cool.
In Starfleet. So now we get to select a career event. So this would be a defining moment in my career.
There are so many good options here.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like... Yeah.
By the way, another thing, just like another little thing that I love, I'm sorry if I'm dragging this out, but like... You get to pick more career events based on like whether you picked veteran or experienced or person. So I
will get 2.
You've been around longer. You've seen some shit. Like things happen to you. I think that's so clever.
Yeah. There's some great things here. I mean, negotiate a treaty, death of a friend, encounter with a truly alien being, conflict with a hostile culture, transporter accident, dealing with a plague, discovers an artifact, all sorts of great things. Or, just things like special commendation, solved an engineering crisis. So I am going to pick that I called out a superior, because I'm thinking this ties in with my bold commander of the people kind of thing, where there was a superior officer doing something wrong or something against Starfleet regulations, something like that, and maybe everyone knew it, or no one could do anything about it, or felt like they couldn't do anything about it, or whatever. But I maybe took matters into my own hands, or rallied the crew and called this superior officer out.
Dang. Brave.
Yeah, that's a bold move. That's something I would expect a captain to be capable of.
That's right.
Probably not a pilot, but definitely a captain attribute.
Yeah, so here it gives you a little further explanation. The character was placed in a situation where they had to choose between a trusted superior and their own ideals, and chose to follow their ideals. Who was the superior? What did they ask the character to do? How does this character feel now? So it gives you further questions to just think about it yourself and flesh out this idea more. Because also, maybe I did this and I was wrong in doing so, or maybe it wasn't a very clear-cut thing and I did it, and maybe part of it will come back to, maybe that superior officer will show up at some point. So anyway, now I have another focus related to this aftermath. So
your focus would be something you learned, some way you came out.
Yeah.
With a better understanding of.
Right.
Something.
And I think what I wanted to put here may have been Federation law and politics, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But I put that one down earlier. So maybe I need some assistance from the crew here with what could be a focus that I could have developed from this. I mean, maybe it's more the standing up to a superior or following my intuition kind of thing, or
yeah, when you call out a superior, what do you gain? What do you learn?
Yeah.
Trusting your instincts.
Yeah, it's more like a value, though. I feel
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I think, maybe we could extrapolate and think about, what was the decision about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what was the situation?
What was the wrong thing that the superior officer thought you should do versus what the right thing you decided to do? Involve some sort of, tactical combat skill?
Well, I feel maybe it was something, tying it into some of my values, maybe it was something like they were ignoring a situation that was a problem that we should have been investigating, or, they just did something that was the quick, easy way to tie it up, and send off the report, but they didn't seek the actual truth there.
But you would have had to find out whatever that truth was. So I guess I'm trying to figure.
Yeah. So
out what that truth was. What skill did you have to use to?
So maybe investigation or interrogation or
reasoning. Maybe they saw you showed new light on this issue, and maybe showed them the value of it or the importance of it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking investigation could be good.
Yeah, I think that's good. I'm trying to think if there's just if that's too, I don't know, is that too broad, or just trying to think if there's a slightly more.
Ooh, what about something like the easy answer
Covert
is
Ops.
not always the correct answer.
Nah, that's
Something
more
like
of a
that.
Well,
value.
that's more of the value.
1 or 2 words at most.
Yeah, I think investigation.
Yeah, like you got some detective skill. You know?
Yeah. You Dixon Hill.
Yeah.
No
All right.
one liked my joke.
I liked your
The
joke.
internet likes my joke.
They are all laughing. So now,
2 types of Star Trek fans: the ones who like enjoy the holodeck episodes, and the ones who are like, waiting for them to end.
right?
Um,
I just like the Barkley is obsessed with the holodeck episode.
Yeah,
that's
that, and like that it's usually like him doing like really inappropriate stuff with his coworkers.
Yeah, that's it's all kinds of HR problems. So my next career event, this I'm thinking is the thing that, or maybe the catalyst, I guess, for our campaign, or at least my role in our campaign, is that I've been required to take command. So I have been
foisted upon you.
Yeah,
Ooh.
for one reason or another, required to command the USS Garfield.
There could even be synergy between that the previous career event, like maybe as a result of you questioning a superior, you were forced to take command.
That could be, yeah, or that could have been the final thing that put me on someone's radar, some superior officer's radar, to be like, oh, this person should take command.
Mm-hmm.
So we get another focus, and actually this one has one that I think actually works quite well, which would just be lead by example.
Yeah, so
solid.
You get stuck in, like you're going to be on some away missions.
Right.
You're not going to expect any member of your crew to do something you yourself wouldn't.
Yeah,
do.
I'm commander of the people. And now we just do some finishing touches. So I get 2 more points to spend. I want to do 1 more control, because that is very important to my character. And, well, let's see. I don't know if I want to kind of balance out either reason or insight, or, well, let's see. Insight is more, as far as negotiating and so forth, I guess that would be reason, right?
It just depends on who you're negotiating with.
I guess it depends.
Yeah, I feel like if you're reasoning with if you're negotiating with someone in good faith, I feel like reason would definitely be it. But
if I'm trying to find information
if you're trying to like play poker with them, maybe.
Yeah, that's more insight.
That's another thing that's great about this game is like, as the GM, I can give you like you're gonna want to make this type of check, but the player always has the ability to say like, I can make a case for using this attribute and this skill, or this attribute and this discipline instead. So if I say it's going to be a reason plus, I don't know, science check or something, and you're like, I think it's a daring science check.
Right. Yeah, and it could be how the character is saying they're going to approach it that helps make it daring in science versus reason in science or whatever. So yeah, with that, I will do reason, because I want to be able to communicate with people on that level. I will select security as another discipline, and I get a couple more, so I'll do engine. Well, no, I'll do. Oh boy. Oh, wait. It's just 2 total. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I was just confused. I thought this was counting down for some reason when I had 1 selected and saying I had 2 left, but no. So I will do security and science. No, medicine. Security and medicine. And the final value. So, my final value, voice of the crew.
Yeah. And
Boom.
it says this one might be a relationship or another to another character or member of the crew, and this is to all of the crew.
Exactly.
What you
Yeah.
chose.
What better relationship than one to all of the crew? Now I am finishing.
Spoken like a true captain.
That's right. So my name is Caleb Gill.
And the interesting thing about Bajoran names is that the first name is the family name. That comes first in order when you say their name.
Yeah.
And then their personal unique name is the second name. So you would be called Captain Caleb. That would
Exactly.
be your last name.
Very nice and alliterative.
Or
Yeah.
your family name.
My family name. Yeah. Yeah, that throws me off sometimes in Deep Space Nine.
Mhm.
Just when they occasionally refer to people as their first name.
It took me
Wait.
like 4 seasons and Christine explaining it to me to figure out what Kira's name was.
Right.
Yeah. Well, because to be fair, Kira is a first name.
It's like a real life, not
Yeah.
space alien first name. Yeah.
Yeah. Nerys.
Right. Cool. So my assignment is commanding officer. So this is where, if you're creating a character and trying to think, okay, but what specifically was my role on the ship? This is where you're selecting that post, more or less. And this is just, I guess is this just showing the things in the command track, or maybe this is just showing
I
everything?
think it's showing everything.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
But anyway, I'm commanding officer. And so we were also thinking that I would actually be a rank of commander. So like I would be still a commander who has been forced, or I'm trying to think of the like sort of business term for when you're suggested to do it, but it's not really a suggestion. But I have been posted to the command of this ship. So I'm the captain of the ship, but I'm still a rank of commander, and I think that will also give me a good thing for my character and just me personally to look forward to, and eventually have a session where I potentially become a captain.
hey, you
Yeah,
get that
room
fourth
for
hit.
growth.
Get that other button, I guess, right?
You
On
pick
my
up
collar.
hits.
Yep. Pip.
The other pip. Cool. And this just shows my values again in case I want to adjust anything. And
Yeah,
then
which
I
I
can.
like that they give you a chance to like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it helps to look at them all together because
I think the one tricky thing with the value is sometimes it's easy to like come up with two that essentially mean the same thing,
yeah,
which isn't very beneficial to use a character because you're not going to get 2 determination for doing one action. You're gonna
right.
you want lots of different ways to role play your character and get determination for role playing your character well. So let's take a look at that character sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
PDF.
I don't know if that'll show up on here so well.
I might be able to make one happen.
Cool. I want to go back to the
let's do a little transition.
I don't
screen.
know if we have to for okay.
I would like to take this moment to say that this is our first time streaming, so it's gonna get better. We're gonna have some transition screens with some content on it. Perhaps we can open it up so that when we're showing you the website, we could just show you the website. We're learning.
Christian, you did an outstanding job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This
I'm
is
definitely not
excellent.
fishing. I just want to say that y'all should keep watching. Anybody who's in this is watching right now. Y'all better keep watching because we're about to have just crazy colors. And
You're gonna
We just got another viewer as you were speaking.
Perfect.
Not
Perfect.
joking.
That's,
You were they heard you.
Yeah. they said if you build it, they will come, and we're building a great, just Star Trek adventure.
Well said. Christian,
the swap of screens and
oh
show
wait,
a character.
Don't do it. I almost led you astray there.
All right. Okay, it's back up.
All right. Well, this is a very large version of the character sheet because I just realized it's showing my whole desktop. Not that there's anything particularly like nefarious there, but
It's not interesting.
There we go.
So, one of the things I love / can be sometimes frustrating with this game is character sheet looks really cool because I am a real big fan of like the Ilkar's aesthetic from Star Trek Next Generation. But I will say one thing true about not just the character sheet, but also the rule book is there are some occasions where I think adhering to that style maybe makes information a little bit more difficult to find.
Yeah, form over function a little bit at times.
I mean, honestly, for the most part, I think you'll find everything you're looking for pretty easily. But it is there are definitely some concessions made to make the layout look like something from Star Trek. And
I think it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take it. It's fine.
Totally.
It's
another thing that lends itself to role-playing, in my opinion, because it is just like, it pulls you in. Like the aesthetics of the character sheets even pull you into the universe.
And the book even has a lot of other, now I can't think of the term, but other boxes of information among what you're reading, with just little asides of Star Trek, history of the world, or elaborating on a specific race or weapon or type of ship. Like, there's just a lot of cool information among the rules.
Yeah, your sidebars and stats and stuff.
Sidebar, that is the thing.
I was gonna say like pop-up videos, like informational things. But,
yeah, right.
There are pop-up videos in this book.
Yeah, except they're not video; they're words. You have to read them.
The old
like in pop-up videos, where they show the pop-up and it's information.
Yeah.
The days before Wikipedia.
Where
you got to learn stuff about music.
Well, it's funny though because
creation through pop-up videos.
Yeah.
I would also say that well, actually, I have a question. So Christian, being I think the newest person to just like getting into Star Trek in general, and also being a developer by trade, how do you feel about the fact that in the future there's only one UI design for everything?
I feel really good about it, honestly, because if there's only one thing for developers to build, naturally they should do a good job at it.
Yeah.
Although we don't really see that in government software, so I don't really know. Hopefully Starfleet has a better sprint, cycle than most modern tech companies.
True.
Yeah. Well, it's a post-scarcity future, so there's not money or anything. So they got the resources.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, but yeah, let's take a look at it real quick. So yeah, it gives you it gives you up at the top. It gives you your basic information, just your name, species, the things you would expect to see at the top of any character sheet for any game. Like we said, the game relies heavily on adding an attribute to a discipline and then trying to roll that dice below that combined number.
Also, I will say this is the character sheet that Ellie and I had made already, so if you were counting numbers while we were making it, which is unlikely that you were, but I probably didn't make it 100% the same. So, just an FYI, that was no mistake of the character creator or anything.
That would generate some momentum for sure if you caught that.
Yeah.
Yes, it would.
Yes.
So it gives you your, your values and focuses. So the values you want to try and play your character by, and the focuses where when you get into, professional situations, that those are going to be beneficial. You have them easily accessible. And then it has some slots here to fill into determination as you do things based on your values that give you those determination points. Maybe one fault of the character sheet here is all of these talents are like special rules that you saw Nick select. The character creator just kind of spits out the name of the talent. You're going to need to have the book to look up what it actually does, so you could fill in probably give yourself some notes there so that it serves as a better reference tool.
I wonder, do they have like those D&D-esque like skill cards for talents? That would be kind of interesting.
I don't think Modiphius makes them, but I mean, I would be highly. I would bet money that one of the many Star Trek Adventures like fan sites or wikis has something you could probably print and play pretty easily.
That would be neat.
We have stress. So stress is I guess your equivalent to if you're familiar with other tabletop role playing games, your hit points, your HP. This is how much damage you can take in a scene before being incapacitated. Another fun thing about Star Trek Adventures that I like is if you ever take 5 stress at once, no matter how many stress you actually have, if you take 5 at once, you're automatically incapacitated for the rest of the screen, which is
just too much to handle.
Yeah, what also makes combat move really fast. Like it doesn't. Yeah. Like Star Trek is not a show or even the films that you watch for like long extended fight scenes.
Right.
Like it's the exploration and the tense moments where you need to make the right decision. That really are what Star Trek's about. The action is important, but it's like seldom the crux of any Star Trek story. I mean, even like the modern Star Treks like Discovery and Picard, in which there are like awesomely choreographed fight scenes, it's like not what the show's about. So making sure that combat, that you don't have like something you can easily run into in Pathfinder or D&D or similar games, like crunchy games like that, where you can have a whole session that's about kind of one fight sometimes, which makes sense based on the source material, because you grew up reading Lord of the Rings or whatever. Like Helm's Deep lasts a long time. Like, that makes sense that you would have those big epic lasting fight scenes. In Star Trek, it's kind of like, if you had a shot with a phaser set to stun, like you're probably stunned if something to do with it. And then we get your weapons and other equipment, which is this is automatic based on creating a new character. I think some things change depending on what division you're in or what station you are. Like if you're the ship's doctor, I think
medical tricorder.
Yeah, medical tricorder instead of a regular tricorder.
Yeah.
To speak to that real quick, and guys chime in with your thoughts for sure. This is another thing I love about this game is we just mentioned that Star Trek exists in a post-scarcity future where there is no money and you can replicate anything that you need. So another thing that a lot of RPGs rely on for progression is you're finding loot, you're finding new cool stuff. But in Star Trek, your tricorder can do just about any, it is your multi-tool to end all multi-tools. And a phaser does a lot of stuff to begin with. So, do you get more equipment as you play? No, you don't. You don't get you don't find a legendary phaser rifle on the ground and pick it up. Phaser rifle. You can replicate anything you want, just like you would in the game, or just like you would see characters do in the show. So in the game, before a scene starts, you can say that you want equipment or weapons that aren't on your character sheet, and you can add them to your character sheet. The rulebook has tons of different equipment and weapons that you can add, but they have a threat cost, which goes to the GM, so that if you say you want a phaser rifle instead of a Type 2 phaser, or if you want to bring a bunch of crazy, you want to bring some sort of anti-grav sled down to the planet, anytime you do that, the GM gets more threat to spend, and I can spend that threat to make the enemies that you're going to encounter more deadly, or create some sort of spatial anomaly or some sort of storm that's going to make things more difficult. So the cooler the technology you have, the more risky the situation is going to end up being, which I think is really neat, because it allows the players to just be like, yo, if you want to be toting a phaser rifle around all the time, like, more power to you. That's the character you're going to play. But you're also going to play in a world that is more dangerous because of that fits that tone a little bit better.
Yeah, I think that's just a great mechanic, and I think other games should use similar things, because it fits so well with Star Trek. Regarding being able to replicate anything, but just the idea that the bigger guns you bring to the situation, the more violent the outcome is going to be, I think is also something that could apply to all sorts of other RPGs and things.
So, I'm fascinated so Modiphius has the Conan license as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've got a lot of stuff.
It uses this system.
Oh, okay.
Or some sort of modified 2D20 system. And
yeah.
At some point I need to read through that book and just see how they use it in something that's like almost entirely combat driven and
right
kind of stuff. Yeah, Modiphius pretty much bounces back and forth between two systems. They have this 2D20 system, and then they have like a way less combat oriented system that they use for an awesome game called Tales from the Loop that hopefully we'll talk about at some point in time. And that, because in Tales from the Loop you play children, so you're like not supposed to be able to like fight stuff super well. That's like rarely the solution to that problem. That system, I think, I believe is also used in the Alien game that Modiphius just put out, that Tales from the Loop system.
Oh. That would be cool.
Yeah, which, again, in a setting where you're probably not going to, there's like one person who fights the alien.
Yeah, and I was going to say, like, you can fight it, but you sort of can never defeat it, yeah.
But this, I believe, is used for this. Well, it's definitely used for this. It's used for Conan, and it's used for kind of the more foundational game that kind of Modiphius has had for a long time, which is the Mutant Chronicles game and Mutant Year Zero, which is kind of like a post-apocalyptic, you play mutated animals sort of thing. Looks great. But cool. On that note, anybody who's watching this, those of you who are watching this, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Yes.
We're going to be back Friday at 7:30. Yeah, same exact time.
7:40.
7:30.
Get in there at 7:30. We'll have the party getting started. Can help hype it up.
We'll have the rest of our crew with us, and we'll embark on the first actual adventure. Now that we'll have all our characters ready to go. As Nick said, if you go to superscriptohio.com and go to the shop portion of our website, you can pick up PDFs or order physical copies from Modiphius using our affiliate link, and a large portion of that purchase will go to us, Superscript Comics and Games, while we are unable to open our doors due to the current health crisis. And we appreciate that, but we also just appreciate you guys all hanging out with us. Honestly, if there was ever a time where I feel like we all needed something to keep our minds off of, we needed some healthy escapism, and also to make believe we are in a fairly optimistic future, now's a good time for that, and we hope you'll hang out with us and come along while we go do some space stuff on Friday.
And how?
Indeed.
I have no idea how to end a stream. Are we ending the stream?
Yeah.
Yeah. Live long and prosper,
everybody.
y'all.
So.